I'm feeling good, I got the monkey on my back and now I'm finally free. I gave my life over to Christ, he changed my life and now I'm finally free. Don't have to carry no more weight up on my shoulders, now I'm finally free. Finally, oh yeah. So many things in life I had to give up on. But my God didn't give up on me. No, he didn't. He gave me another chance. Yeah. I was blind, but now I see. Oh, yeah. I finally gave my life to Christ, and now I'm finally free. Anything I need, my God provides for me. I just want to thank you, God, for loving me, taking care of me and my family. I had to clean up when I messed up. Starting my life over again. Now I'm finally free. I'm feeling good, I got the monkey on my back and now I'm finally free. I gave my life over to Christ, he changed my life and now I'm finally free. Don't have to carry no more weight up on my shoulders, now I'm finally free. Finally, oh yeah. People talk that what they do and what they say can't stop my moves. Let me say a thing or two about what God can do for you. I know he did it for me, I know that he'll do it for you. Because I am living proof of what my God can do for you. People change, but my God won't change. I weather the storm with a smile on my face. Singing hallelujah is the higher praise. Lord, I want to thank you for another day. You know I've been changed. The angels in heaven done shine my name. Gave my life to Christ and now I'm finally free. Anything I need, my God provides for me. I just want to thank you, God, for loving me, taking care of me and my family. He took the shackles off my feet, now I can dance and now I'm finally free. Finally free. This was for the people in the world who believe in Jesus. Believe in Jesus. He took the shackles off my feet, now I can dance and now I'm finally free. I'm finally free. This was for the people in the world who believe in Jesus. I'm feeling good, I got the monkey on my back and now I'm finally free. I gave my life over to Christ, he changed my life and now I'm finally free. Don't have to carry no.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to ARP in the Morning. It's your host, Wise, and I appreciate you guys pulling up this morning, man. I hope all is well. Happy hump day. It is Wednesday. It is the last day of the month. This month has just flown by. Goodness gracious, this month has flown by. God bless each and every one of you guys, man. I appreciate you all pulling up this morning. Shout out to my guy, Brian M., first person in the chat. Good morning. He says happy hump day to you guys. Shout out to him. Appreciate him pulling up this morning. First thing in the morning, 8:06 in the morning. Shout out to you. What's going on, Lori Otteson? How you doing this morning? Hope all is well. Scott Jung, Murfreesboro, Tennessee in the building. What up, Big Job Ford? How you doing this morning? Hope all is well with you guys up there in Wisconsin. What up, Redefine Queen? Donald Lovejoy, how's it going? Colorado in the building. What up, Marianne Connie? Conme, or hopefully I'm pronouncing that right. What up, Quincy James? How you doing this morning, man? Yes, 101, 101 days is here. Absolutely. This is hands down, I will say the year has been flying by. But the 100 days of Trump administration seems like it was a year long. I don't know if you guys agree with me, in the chat, but let me know. The year is flying by, but the administration seems like he's been in office for a year now. It seems like it. Maybe it's just me. What's up, PK Krillin? How you doing this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Buddha? How you doing this morning? West End Lake, New York in the house. PK Krillin out of Savannah, Tennessee. Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Zephyr K9? How you doing this morning, sister? Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Ed Mar? South Cac in the, Mississippi in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. Steve Edminster, appreciate you pulling up out of Buffalo. Thank you very much. What up, Shelby Dye? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you all pulling up. What's up, baby lungs? We got Burnsville, Minnesota in the building. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thea Flies High. Joseph Forsini. Y'all listen to Joseph Forsini, man. If you haven't done so already, y'all make sure y'all hit that like button for me. That's the only cost to admission of the live stream is for you to hit that like button. Number two thing that you could do if you really want to go far is to share the daggone stream. Facebook, Reddit, X, all that kind of good jazz. We are streaming on X and YouTube this morning. I was doing Instagram, but Instagram, it's a bear to deal with on a day-to-day basis. But I just chose not to deal with it. What's going on, Billy W? H-Town in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Mark Galvin? How's it going this morning? We got Nashville, Tennessee in the building. Appreciate you pulling up. What's going on, Marla? Hey, K-Ro, how you doing this morning? Hope all is well. Appreciate you pulling up. What up, Diane? How you doing? Pittsburgh, the Steel City in the building. Me and my guys, we went up to Pittsburgh probably about, I guess, 2 summers. Every year we do a just a fellas trip, golf trip and things of that nature. We get out, we go play golf and just kind of hang out in some different areas. We went up to Pittsburgh probably about 2 years ago. First time I ever had Permanthi Brothers. It was good. We went to the original Permanthi Brothers. That's downtown. But we played some really nice golf courses out there, man. Really nice golf courses, man. We had a good time up there in Pittsburgh, man. Nice people up there as well. Very nice people up there. What's going on, Hobo Rod Prospecting? Appreciate you pulling up. Kevin Caldwell, appreciate you pulling up this morning. Marianne, appreciate you pulling up this morning. God bless you as well. Thank you very much. What's up, Michelle Erickson? How's it going? What up, my guy, Kenny Cooper, Tennessee? Or he's, I guess, riding through Tennessee, man. Be safe out there on the road, brother. What up, Fire Flynn? How's it going this morning? Appreciate you pulling up. Who else we got? We got William Walker Grimsworth. Appreciate you pulling up this morning, brother, as always. All right. Who we got? Larry Hill. Appreciate you pulling up. We got Indiana in the building. We got Mr. Lone Star, Texas in the building. You already know what that is. What up, Kelly? How you doing this morning? Seattle in the building. What's going on with you, man? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Thank you very much. Yeah, man. So we got a pretty good show. We're going to be a little longer than we were yesterday. What up, True Texan? How you doing this morning? We're going to be a little longer than we were yesterday. Obviously, it got a late start. And then, we ended up just doing a short show. And I appreciate you guys, rocking with me and bearing with me yesterday. Let's see, who else we got? We got Just Jen. Appreciate you pulling up this morning. What up, Coaster? How you doing this morning, brother? He made it. What up, Lisa Johnson? Houston, Texas in the building. What up, Earthly Angel? 1111. Appreciate you pulling up. California Patriot in the house. Thank you very much. Thank you guys for pulling up, man. If you haven't already, please make sure you hit that like button. We have 98 people in the building this morning. I don't know how many likes we have, but we will check to see how many likes we actually have, and let's make sure that we have at least those 90 plus likes at this point. So we're sitting at 54 right now, man. Please make sure y'all hit that like button for me. We're gonna get the show started. As I always say, super chats will stop the show. Super thanks will stop the show. Anybody that joins the ARP family or anybody that gifts an ARP family membership, that will stop the show. They will be acknowledged as well. I appreciate everybody that supports the channel financially. It is April 30th. This is the last show of the month. Obviously, tomorrow, man, we move into May and we edge closer and closer to summer. I know folks got vacations. I got a few vacations coming up in the very near future as well that I'm looking forward to because, we need a break. We've been going hard all year long with no breaks. So it's good to be able to, step away for a little bit and get a little R&R, rest and relaxation. What's going on, Kenny G from PIstyle.store? Y'all make sure y'all go check his store out over there, man. He's got some nice gear. You see me wear it, on the channel here a couple of times. Appreciate you pulling up this morning as well. South Carolina in the building. But let's get the show started. Like I said, hit that like button. Super chats will stop the show. Super thanks will stop the show. Without further ado, let's get into it.
This morning that Amazon will soon display a little number next to the price of each product that shows how much the Trump tariffs are adding to the cost of each product. So isn't that a perfect crystal clear demonstration that it's the American consumer and not China who is going to have to pay for these policies?
I will take this, since I just got off the phone with the president about Amazon's announcement. This is a hostile and political act by Amazon. Why didn't Amazon do this when the Biden administration hiked inflation to the highest level in 40 years? And I would also add that it's not a surprise because, as Reuters recently wrote, Amazon has partnered with a Chinese propaganda arm. So this is another reason why Americans should buy American. It's another reason why we are onshoring critical supply chains here at home to shore up our own critical supply chain and boost our own manufacturing here.
Is Jeff Bezos still a Trump supporter?
Look, I will not speak to the president's relationships with Jeff Bezos, but I will tell you that this is certainly a hostile and political action by Amazon. And Secretary, if you have anything to add.
Yeah, so the internet exploded. The internet exploded when Punchbowl News dropped a bombshell. Amazon was reportedly planning to start showing tariff costs right next to the product prices on its main site, basically putting a spotlight on how much Trump's tariffs are jacking up the cost of goods. I don't know if you guys had a chance to check this article out here, but I want you guys to see this for yourself. Give me 1 second. Let me pull this up. And anybody that wants this article right here, let me know. I will gladly send it over to you. But the idea was to break it down for consumers. That's what this article right here is talking about here. And here's the price. And here's what you're paying extra because of these tariffs. But by midday, the White House fired back big time. Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt took to the podium at the briefing, calling it a hostile and political act by Amazon, accusing them of trying to undermine Trump's agenda. Now, what we do know is, or maybe some of you guys may not know this about Amazon, is that Jeff Bezos, founder of Amazon, is no longer working inside of Amazon on a day-to-day basis. There is someone else that is in charge as the CEO of Amazon right now. And that has been the case for a while. Give me 1 second here. I want to pull this up real quick, and I probably should have had this already prepared. But the CEO, as of April 2025 of Amazon, is Andy Jassy. He serves as the president and the chief executive officer of Amazon, and he's been in that role since July 5th, 2021. He is the person who actually succeeded Jeff Bezos. So although Jeff Bezos' name, is directly attached to Amazon, and it should be because he was the founder as well as the longtime CEO, he is no longer in that capacity. Okay? He's no longer in that capacity. Just so everybody knows this. So everybody, everybody's going to bring, Bezos up and say, hey, Bezos is doing this. I would assume that Bezos probably didn't know this because he's probably not involved in the day-to-day, the day-to-day business of Amazon. I'm for certain that he is still, a large shareholder. I'm sure that he is a part of the board, but he's not running the day-to-day business right now. He isn't. But Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent, who was also there, at the press briefing, and he was there basically highlighting U.S. trade relationships, but the Amazon drama, that's what stole the show for the day. And then later in the day, Amazon backtracked. So I would assume that the president got on the phone with Bezos and says, hey, man, what's going on with your guy? What's going on with your guy, Andy? Seriously, what's going on with your guy, Andy? I'm sure that's what happened. And Amazon issued a statement saying that, no, this isn't happening. They're claiming the idea was only considered for their low-cost haul unit, not the main site, and it was never approved. So again, this could have been, stuff always stops with whoever the CEO is of a company, right? But what you guys got to understand about Amazon and where they're headquartered at, Amazon is headquartered in Seattle, okay? or in the Seattle area. They're technically not in the city of Seattle, if I'm not mistaken. I believe they might be in Redmond or one of the surrounding suburb cities in the area in Seattle. Shout out to Dragon Master Zero with gifting 10 ARP family memberships. Shout out to you. Thank you very much, man. I appreciate the love. Appreciate you, brother. God bless you. Thank you very much. But if you guys recall what's been going on up in Seattle, that's one of the main places where they've been bombing Tesla dealerships and these people. Seattle is extremely radical. It's extremely radical right now. I lived in Seattle, man, at this point, man, it's been over 10 years. I actually worked in the Redmond area. It's been well over 10 years. I've been here in Maryland for a long time. Before I moved to this area, I actually lived in the Seattle area, and it wasn't as radical. Yeah, you had some lefties out there, but it wasn't as radical as it is today. So this could have been something that came from, some radical manager, mid-manager, and the CEO of Amazon had no idea that this was something that was even floated out there. Somewhat trying to give, Amazon and, Andy Jassy the benefit of the doubt. What's going on, B? Appreciate you pulling up this morning, sister. Hope all is well with you. I'm just giving Amazon the benefit of the doubt. What's up, Denise Harvey? How you doing this morning?
This was very nice. He was terrific. He solved the problem very quickly, and he did the right thing, and he's a good guy.
But of course, you have corporate America and the Democrats. They definitely pounced all over this story, eager to frame any discussion, of tariffs as a threat to your wallet, while completely ignoring the fact that these levies are negotiation tool, and not a permanent tax. And where was all of this smoke for the Biden-Harris administration the previous 4 years when we had 29% inflation rates, which caused all the prices to go up the way they are? I mean, everything went up in this country over the past 4 years. Gas, food, rent, interest rates, you name it. Everything went up. But there was no smoke for the Biden-Harris administration when the things that they were doing, the policies that they were implementing were directly affecting Americans' pockets and their bottom line. There was no smoke for these people, man. It's ridiculous. It really is.
Just think about a nutritional label on a product. I mean, many of us look at those labels when we go in, we're looking at the calories, looking at how much protein something has. Imagine if you could have that kind of transparency when you're buying your phone or buying your car or buying avocados. That's powerful. First of all, it's an amazing use of the incredible amounts of big data that these companies have. I mean, this is a great use of it. It is very political, I would say. I mean, the president, Carolyn Leavitt, channeling the president, called it a hostile and political act, which did sound very threatening in terms of what the president was channeling to Jeff Bezos there. I think it's also very interesting in terms of where big tech and where some of the largest and most powerful CEOs in the country stand in relation to Trump. And I was wondering when this penny was going to drop, because yes, you saw, as Caitlin said, them all sitting in the front row at the inauguration. It was this sort of parade of American oligarchs. On the other hand, boy, have their businesses been hit by Liberation Day. Confidence is down. We've seen consumers very worried about the economy, about spending. That has huge potential economic impact, and it has political impact too. I think we're going to see this. I won't call it a war, but this conflict, perhaps, between Amazon and the president really resonate both economically and politically. I imagine that Republicans and Democrats are thinking about what to make of this right now.
She's got a real smug smile on her face. What's going on, Crystal Beyond Labels? And what's up, Dion? How you doing this morning, sister? Appreciate you pulling up. Hope all is well. But I'll say this. I do think that she's right. But for the wrong reasons. I mean, honestly, if it was up to me, I'd like to see this data to know which products to avoid. If the goal of these tariffs is to force other countries to negotiate fair deals, wouldn't it be useful for shoppers to know exactly how much they're paying? The other thing, It would also be useful to know which products are actually being manufactured right here in the good old USA. It would be nice to know. There's a lot of your products, on Amazon right now that, are made in China. There's a lot of them on there. There's a lot of products, on Amazon right now that's made by China. One of the other issues, and Kevin O'Leary talked about this, I don't know, maybe a week, maybe 2 weeks ago on a platform out there, and he was talking about if you are an American innovator, if you come up with a product, you come up with a you come up with a new widget of some sort. China will steal your idea and they will manufacture it and sell it at a fraction of the cost, and it will basically make your widget, and I'm using widget because I don't want to just pick on one specific product, but they'll literally take your idea, manufacture it at a lower rate, and then sell it on Amazon and other platforms out there. This is happening. This is happening a lot. And it's actually displacing and it's putting American businesses out of business. This is happening. So to an extent, I actually wouldn't necessarily mind them doing this because, hey, I want to know the products that are being made right here in the United States. I want to have a choice to say, you know what? I want to purchase that product. Or the countries that are doing business with us fairly, I'd like to know that as well. So maybe you could place that on there. A little more transparency when it comes to, where the products are being made and, how much it's costing us. Hey. So to an extent, she's on to something. But I think a lot of shoppers out there would like to know exactly how much they're paying. And maybe they'd stop clicking buy now and instead look for American-made alternatives. Or just hold off on unnecessary purchases because Lord knows, here in America, we got a spending problem. I'm a victim of it as well. I am a victim of. I think it's something that I want. I'll jump on Amazon. I'll jump on Walmart and see if they got it, and I'll have it shipped to my house. A lot of us are like that. But speaking of negotiating tools, there's some big updates coming from Beijing. A Reuters report just confirmed that China quietly lifted its 125% tariff on American ethane, and that's not a small thing. That's not a small feat right there. That is happening. This is real. This is letting you know that it is working. And I'm glad to see it. And I'm glad that you have people out there actually reporting the truth and reporting the news. If you guys want this article, I will be glad to send it over to you. Just shoot me an email, admin_wise@proton.me. Send me an email. I'd be more than happy to send these articles over to you if you want to have them for yourself, for you to read for yourself. But half of all U.S. ethane exports go to China each year. So this is a meaningful concession. It's a part of a growing list like pharmaceuticals and microchips and jet engines, which are all getting exemptions now. This isn't a one-off. It's a pattern. China feels the squeeze and it's loosening its retaliatory tariffs. This is happening. This is happening. You won't see this on the evening news, though. You won't see this on MSNBC or DN, CNN. You won't see this. Wall Street and liberal media wants you to believe that tariffs are a one-way street of pain for Americans only, and that the president is single-handedly trying to collapse the bond market, the dollar, your 401k, and everything else. That's what they want you to believe. And the reason they want you to believe it is because they make money. They make money. on the cheap labor or the slave labor out there in China. They make money. And thank you, Coaster, for putting that out there for those that don't know what ethane is. Thank you for putting that out there. I appreciate that. But the evidence on the ground, it does tell a different tale. It tells a different story. Foreign governments are blinking first, and our leverage is paying off. It makes complete sense. This is the strongest economy in the world. You have companies and countries that yield a third or more of their revenue right here in this country. It makes complete sense for us to get a better deal. Complete sense for us to get a better deal. And some people, that video I put out with Doug Burgum, yesterday with Caitlin Collins, and she was talking about all these tariffs, they're not going to help eliminate taxes for Americans. But I'd be happy if it just helped lower the taxes on Americans. Maybe they can't eliminate it completely, but maybe these new tariffs and this new revenue stream helps to, cut federal taxes in half. That would be amazing for us all. President Trump isn't just squaring off against Beijing. It's not just China. He's also battling entrenched domestic interests, cable news pundits, Wall Street billionaires, and even Amazon. They're lining up to undercut his tariffs. And this is ridiculous, man. A lot of these companies, they don't have a sense of national pride. And to an extent, I get it, because they have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders, not to the American people. So I get it. But at some point, we have to have some national pride about supporting our fellow man, our fellow citizens in this country. Seriously, a lot of these companies, they would rather just keep business as usual with China than risk any short-term hit at all. And that's with them thinking about their profits. And I get it, because again, they have a fiduciary responsibility to their shareholders. I get it. I understand it. But we also have to start looking at national security. We got to start looking at things from that perspective as well. But what these people are doing, to an extent, it's a form of economic treason, plain and simple. They're rooting for China to hang tough and force Trump to back down instead of rallying behind his push to reconstruct global supply chains in America's favor. The thing is that by doing that, not only does it help this country and help its citizens, and it helps the children and our grandchildren, because the goal is to build a stronger nation for them. If we keep going at the rate we're going, what kind of nation do we plan to leave for our children, for our grandchildren, for our great-grandchildren? What kind of nation are we planning to leave them? And here's a quick thought. Here's a quick thought experiment. What could Amazon have done instead of, threatening to, put the price differentials on there? What if Amazon used its massive platform to champion U.S. manufacturing, to champion U.S. made goods? Imagine a made in America filter right at the top of their site. So every time you shop, you have the choice to choose homegrown products first. I know a lot of you guys feel the same way that I feel. I would be willing to pay a couple extra dollars to support American companies, products, and American workers than pay less and support China. And I don't have anything against the Chinese people, but I am America first. I am Americans first. I wouldn't have a problem paying a couple extra dollars to support an American made products and an American organization that hires Americans. I wouldn't have a problem with it. I think Amazon should jump ahead of it and say, hey man, we have an American made filter. You click on it. These are all the products that are made in America that we sell on our site. That kind of transparency would both protect consumers and boost American factories. It would boost American workers. And instead, Amazon flirted with the tariff tag idea and then caved under the pressure from the White House. It was a missed opportunity on their point. But again, a lot of these people, they're not thinking about the country. A lot of these people, especially those on the left, they have a globalist agenda. They don't have a national agenda. They have a globalist agenda. And they're willing to put the world over their own constituents or their own citizens, their fellow man, their fellow American. And it's unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate. And on the macro front, there's a lot more to gain. There's a lot more going on than tariffs. Since January, interest rates have ticked down a little bit. Mortgage rates are easing. Gas prices have fallen a little. And deregulation is rolling back expensive bureaucratic red tape. That's why California is in the situation that they're in. They have so much bureaucratic red tape. You can't get anything accomplished over there. You own a home, you want to add an addition or put a deck or something like that, it's 6 months. It's 6 months to do it. It's crazy. Those policy changes, they do take time to ripple through the economy. They do, but it is happening and we're starting to see some relief. Egg prices have come down. That's a fact. Egg prices have come down. Now, at the beginning of the year, they were talking, oh, man, the price of eggs. You don't hear them talking about egg prices anymore because they're coming down. Now, are they back to, where they were? No, but they're a lot cheaper than what they were a year ago. Deregulation in particular is a slow burn. And it probably won't show up fully until later in the year, going into early next year. And then there are the tax cuts that's coming down the pike. No taxes on overtime pay, no taxes on tips, Social Security benefits being spared. I'm sure there's a decent amount of people here that are on the older side of things that are receiving Social Security. You've already worked for the money. You shouldn't have to be taxed again on the money that you've invested. You shouldn't have to do that. Imagine the people, my grandmother, who is on a fixed income, she's got a retirement and she's got, Social Security. What would that do for our senior citizens out here who are receiving Social Security by them not having to pay taxes? That's almost like getting a raise in Social Security right there. It would be huge. Even making auto loan interest deductible is huge. Think about that. Auto loan deductibles or auto loan interest deductible would be huge. It would boost the car industry that is fledgling right now. People aren't buying new cars. Heck, I'm one of those people that I haven't bought a new car in a long time. My car is over 10 years old at this point. It's paid for. It's still got fairly low miles on it. Every time I think about getting a car, I'm like, man, I start thinking about those interest rates and them car payments, man. I was like, man, I can't do it. $700-800 a month for a car. That's crazy. That is crazy. So when you look at that, you look at what's being implemented, it's going to take a little while, but it's coming. And that's a three-legged stool right there. Trade, tax, deregulation. That's engineered to drive real wage growth and consumer power. Remember, too, that the economy under Biden was staggering under 9+% CPI inflation and trillions in new spending. So, yes, you'll see some bumps while the system resets itself. But if you hang in there, the payoff should be huge. More money in your pocket and a stock market rally none of us have ever seen. The market is going to rally. It is going to happen. When you look at the U.S. stock market right now, even if you include the recessions and the market corrections and things of that nature, it's still a steady growth of about 7% year over year. Seriously. Now, having said all this, I mean, you've probably seen those numbers showing Trump, stuck around, the break-even point on immigration, but deep underwater on everything else, the economy, inflations, tariffs, you name it, people think that he's losing ground. But I don't necessarily think that is the case. I think they're being propagandized, and they're being told that things are actually worse than what they really are. But once the market turns and once these interest rates come down and once companies start hiring like crazy again, which I see and I can forecast that and see that happening, oh man, it's going to be crazy. I'm so looking forward to it as well.
Even on immigration in total, but everything else, he's sort of underwater. And particularly on the economy, tariffs, and inflation, he's well underwater. You've still got some work to do on that front. A lot of people think that he's spending too much time on tariffs and not enough time on the economy and lowering prices. What do you say?
Well, I don't want to make things awkward for you, John, but it is our opinion that Fox News needs to fire its pollster. And I won't surprise you with that. I don't think you're surprised that I'm saying that. But the Fox News pollster has always been wrong about President Trump. They were the ones that said all summer long that Kamala Harris was going to be the 47th president of the United States. So we don't acknowledge any of that polling.
I like Stephen Miller, man. That dude is, he is no nonsense, no BS type of guy. Janie Cavendish says Spo News sucks. They're hit or miss. They are. There's a couple of folks on there that I do like. I like Gutfield. I like Jesse Waters. There's a few on there, but to an extent, I could probably agree with you there. But there's some accuracy there. That track record isn't exactly sterling. When in reference to what Stephen Miller said. But the bottom line is this: don't let one flawed survey dictate the entire conversation. Just don't do it. Don't fall for the trap. And like I said before, and I'll say it again, Trump needs to deliver on the economy for the midterms. It's got to happen. And look, I get it, man. The Fox News poll shows some rough numbers. Only 38% approve of Trump on the economy, 33% on the tariffs, and 33% on inflation. And that's a steep hill to climb. It is. But here's the deal. We've got to have some patience. And honestly, if mainstream media, if legacy media backed off and just let this thing play out, I don't think people's view on it would be as low. I just don't. But because of the fear mongering, because of the gaslighting that we see and that we hear from legacy media, that's what has a lot of people, feeling the way that they feel. Look, man, Trump is only 100 days in, I guess 101 days in as of today. And he's battling a mess that was left by the Biden-Harris administration. This is not some, overnight fix. These people didn't destroy it in 4 years. It's not going to be 3 months to fix it. Come on now. We're dealing with sky-high inflation, a shaky market, and trade deals that have been screwing us over, not just for years, but for decades. And he's trying to fix it with tariffs and deregulation, but it's not an overnight job. It's not an overnight fix. That being said, he still has to, I'm going to say needs to show results soon because Americans are still feeling the pinch. And if the economy doesn't turn around by the midterms, the GOP could take a hit. It could. But despite these, seemingly low approval ratings, he's still doing much better than Democrats. And that's exactly what Stephen A. Smith talked about the other day. I want you guys to hear this for yourself. I'm going to pull this up, but he's right. Even with the challenges that President Trump is dealing with, and there may be some people in the country that have a lack of confidence, in what he's doing. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that these people are being manipulated to believe this, not because it's something that they know, but because legacy media is telling them that you need to focus on this. That's the reason why those polling numbers are as bad as they are right now. That's just my opinion.
His low approval ratings, he's still more popular than the Democrats. So it's really the ultimate indictment against the Democratic Party because, again, despite the noise that he has made and despite unfavorably he's looked upon, the Democrats still can't beat him because you still have nobody to beat him. You don't have a face that resonates nationally. You don't have somebody who's dogged in their beliefs who happen to be able to resonate. We saw Cory Booker, the senator, who's been a guest on this show, speak for 25 straight hours. Not too many people cared. We see Jasmine Crockett and AOC, speaking what they're speaking. Not too many people are caring. We see AOC going on tour with Bernie Sanders, and they're drawing some crowds. But here's the reality. Going the hell off about Trump ain't gonna get you so far because all you're showing us is that you're not willing to work with him. And because you're not willing to work with him and the Democrats have control of neither the White House, the House of Representatives, or the Senate, you're powerless. You're just blowing into the wind. The Democrats have got to win the midterm. They've got to win the midterm. Whether it's the Senate or the House, they've got to win the midterm. Because if you don't win, he doesn't have to work with you. Because the GOP is going to stand with him because they're going to be petrified that they'll be booted out of office by their constituency because Trump will work to turn the constituency against them. So they're going to march lockstep with him when it really, really counts. Based on what I'm looking at, he could lose some of them if he alienates them. He's already made the Supreme Court a bit suspect of some of the things he suggested, courtesy of all the lawsuits that have come their way because of these executive orders that he has signed and how that's worked out because you got a lawsuit every other day for crying out loud.
Care Essentials breaks the cycle with potent natural.
All righty. Shout out to Jeffrey Wisnat with the $10 super chat. Everyone needs to be patient with Trump. It's going to take time to fix what Sleepy Joe and Camel Toe Harris destroyed. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. If we actually had a fair media, if we actually had that in this country, I think the sentiments would be different. If we actually had that in this country, a fair and impartial and non-biased media, I think the average American sentiments on what has been done and what needs to be done, I think it would be different. I think people would feel a different way. We had 4 years of the media not talking about how bad things actually are. And then when Trump gets in the office, all of a sudden they want to tell you that the economy is in the toilet when it has actually been in the toilet for the previous 4 years. So we have a non-biased, a non-fair media or legacy media. And in reference to Stephen A., he's not wrong. He's not. He's wrong on some things, but he's not necessarily wrong on this. If Trump's this unpopular and the Democrats still can't find someone to beat him, what does that say about the Democrat Party right now? They've got no one who can resonate nationally right now. No one. No face, no fighter, no one who can rally the base like Trump does for this side of things. Some people would say AOC, but that remains to be seen. And Smith called out their, so-called stars like Cory Booker and Jasmine Crockett and AOC. And he's right. Nobody is listening. And the people that are listening, they don't believe them. We know that they're lying. We know they're not telling the truth. Even AOC and Bernie Sanders, their little tour, it's not moving the needle. These people are championing, climate change and this, that, and the third, but y'all flying around, on a $15,000 an hour private jet. Y'all talking about poor people and y'all talking about how y'all got to tax the rich. Y'all are the rich. Y'all are the oligarchy. Y'all riding around on a $15,000 an hour private jet. The reason why their message doesn't resonate is because they're a bunch of hypocrites. The Democrats are powerless right now. They don't control the White House, the House, or the Senate. And all they do is scream about Trump without offering any solutions. We've been talking about that on this channel. Everybody wants to talk about what Trump is doing, what maybe the problem, so forth and so on. But you never hear a solution from these people. Even when it comes to the tariffs. Even when it comes to the fact that we need additional revenue streams in this country that doesn't involve taxing the American people into oblivion, you get no solutions from these people. None. Seriously. The MAGA crowd knows the media is playing games. But Smith's take cuts a little deeper. The Democrats' leadership vacuum, it's their real problem. And it's why Trump is still standing tall despite the polls. And they're just yelling into the wind, and it's not working. And the reality of it is this. The Democrats, they hadn't actually had a primary in 3 election cycles when it comes to the president. The DNC has literally chosen who they want to be the face of their party the last 3 election cycles. They don't care about the primary vote, and they don't care about their constituents. They don't care. And they prove it on a day-to-day basis. They prove it on a week-to-week basis. The Biden-Harris administration proved it for 4 years that they care more about Ukraine, they care more about illegal immigrants coming into this country than they care about the American citizens. This foolishness in reference to this Abreu Garcia guy. They're willing to fly outside of the country to go sit and meet with this guy at a prison, but ignore Patty Morin, Rachel Morin's mom, right here in America, right here in their state. I'm speaking in reference of Van Hollen, Senator of Maryland, who chose to fly out the country, then go up the road to go talk to Rachel Morin's parents. Oh yeah, Quincy, I'm for sure. I didn't vote for that guy. He didn't get my vote. But if you know anything about Maryland, man, it's an extremely blue state. Our governor has flip-flopped back and forth, but everything else has been blue. Good Lord, it's ridiculous. It is ridiculous. But speaking of Democrats being a total disaster, let's talk about something else that's absolutely sickening. You guys got to sit back, man, for this because this is going to piss you off. This is going to piss you off, man. California lawmakers just blocked a bill that would have made it a felony to buy 16 and 17-year-olds for intercourse. Hear me now. California lawmakers just blocked a bill that would have made it a felony to buy 16 and 17-year-olds for intercourse, all because of some backroom deal they're hiding behind. This isn't just incompetence. It's a moral failure when you got lawmakers in this country siding with predators, straight up enabling child trafficking while claiming it's about equity. We got to dive into this. We got to dive into this story. It is a nightmare of a story. You guys, this is California is something else, man. I know there's some patriots out there. I know, there are some people out there that do not agree with this. But there are entirely too many freaks and weirdos out there, man. This is insane. This is insane. We're going to dive into it, man. You guys got to hear it for yourself. This is diabolical. It really is, man. It really is. Oh my gosh. Oh, now the thing is that you will not hear this on mainstream media. These aren't the kind of conversations they like to have about the Democrat Party.
Oils that combat resistant fungus at its source.
Wrong video.
Understand that you just got to the legislature, but this has been debated, and Assemblymember Krell is an expert on this issue and prosecuted folks. I mean, do you guys not trust her?
I fully trust Assemblymember Krell, but I also trust my experience as well. I, too, as you know, am a former prosecutor. I was part of the La Luz del Mundo prosecution in Los Angeles. So when it comes to protecting children and going after sex offenders and people that are exploiting children, I, too, have that experience. And as much as I do trust my colleague, Assemblymember Krell, I also also trust my personal experience and my own subject matter expertise, if you will, on the subject, as well as that of the committee.
Sure. So right now in Sacramento, there is a well-known blade. KCRA did a documentary on it. It's just a few miles away from here. Sheriff Jim Cooper has said that right now, if a John were to go and try to purchase a 16 or 17-year-old on that blade, and law enforcement were to intervene, because of a judge's order right now in Sacramento, law enforcement would not be able to put that person in jail because it's not the solid felony that law enforcement has been asking it to be. So I just want to make sure, like, you're okay with 16 and 17-year-olds continuing to be purchased on this blade for the next year or until you have to dissect this issue in the fall, and these Johns getting let go and just issued with citations?
Well, I don't agree with the premise of the question, but what I would say is I'm not okay with any child anywhere being exploited, but the solution that we craft, the solution that we pass needs to make sense, it needs to be equitable, it needs to be comprehensive. And while I appreciate Assemblymember Krell for bringing the proposal forward, and I know that her heart is on this issue, it's connected in a way that few other legislators can really be equal to or understand, it's also my job to make sure that we're not just passing knee-jerk policy, but we're having good, substantive conversation and landing on a good spot. So to the sheriff, the district attorney, and any other stakeholders, I hope that they'll continue to engage not just with Assemblymember Krell, but with all the members of the committee, with myself, with our staff, and our goal is to get a good solution delivered here as quickly as possible.
Shout out to Brett Montgomery here. I want to pull this up. He says this bill has been voted down twice. It's like, why would you vote that down? Exactly. That's what I was trying to figure out. I would assume that people on both sides of the aisle could get behind this particular bill. Holy smokes, man. So this guy gets on there on TV and says, I'm not okay with any child being exploited, but any solution we come up with has to be equitable. The follow-up question means, what do you mean by equitable? What do you mean by equitable? You had a solution, a proposal that would make it a felony to purchase a 16 or 17-year-old child prostitute. I mean, it's pretty straightforward, in my opinion. It's pretty straightforward. How many of you guys in the chat, don't y'all agree that's pretty straightforward? It should be a felony. Now, I get it. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it's LA County or the LA City District. They didn't legalize prostitution, but they did, what do you call it? They decriminalized it out there in that area. So I'm not suggesting you guys go see it, but there's plenty of documentaries out there about California, Figueroa, and some of these other places out there. They call it the Blade. The Blade is the area where, you have your, your sex workers and things of that nature. That's where they congregate, and there's schools nearby. Kids walk through. It's crazy. I'm telling you, I mean, there are women out there with nothing on. You know what they're doing when you ride by there. It's crazy. I'm not suggesting you guys go and check out some of these videos that are out there and some of the documentaries that's been done about it out there, but man, it is a mess. It's a mess. I mean, that bill is pretty straightforward, in my opinion. It's pretty disgusting. Actually, you know what? I'm not even going to say pretty. It's beyond disgusting. We got to break this down, man. California lawmakers in the Assembly Public Safety Committee, led by Democrat Nick Schultz, just blocked AB 379, a bill that would have made it a felony to purchase 16 and 17-year-old sex workers. All because of some shady deal they made last year. And right now, under California law, it's already a felony to buy kids 15 and younger. It's already illegal to buy kids 15 and younger, but for 16 and 17-year-olds, it's only a misdemeanor. Unless prosecutors decide to push for a felony, and get this, the teens have to prove they're being trafficked. They got to prove it. This is extremely backwards. I mean, this bill tried to fix it by just making it a felony across the board. You're under 18 and you're out here. It's illegal. You're under 18 and you're out here doing this, it's illegal. But Schultz and his crew, they gutted it, claiming that they need to do a deep dive into the issue. This dude said they have to do a deep dive into the issue. What are we talking about? What are you deep diving into? These are minors, 16 and 17-year-old people, because it's not just girls. It's not just young girls that are in this trade. It's also young boys that are in this trade. What do you got to do a deep dive into? Nick, this should be a no-brainer. It should be a no-brainer. Protecting kids should be a no-brainer. Seriously. This reminds me of the story. Somebody had mentioned it, Sodom and Gomorrah. My wife and I, we were talking about this, maybe a week or two ago. And it was talking about, when the angels, came to Lot's and those people were pounding on the door. They're pounding on the door. And he offered to send, his virgin daughters out there. And they're like, no, send us those young men. I mean, that's how depraved these people sound, man. You have to be a depraved individual to think that this is a problem. To think that protecting minor people is a problem, you have to be a depraved individual. This should be a no-brainer. This should be a nonpartisan issue. We are out here protecting children. Republican State Senator Shannon Grove, who's been fighting this fight since last year, called it completely evil. And Krill herself said it's a disgrace. And they're absolutely right. It is a disgrace. It is a disgrace. The Democrats, they're hiding behind this so-called deal from 2022 that lets buyers off easy. And they're doubling down, saying it's about equity. And I want to know, equity for who? Who is this? Who are y'all protecting? Who is the equity for? Predators? Huh? Because the reality of it is, that's who they're protecting. And it doesn't end there. California Democrats are actually claiming that this bill might disproportionately affect Black, brown, and LBGT community. I told you. Did not just say that. These people are nasty. These are some nasty, evil people. You cannot make this stuff up, man. You cannot make this stuff up, man. Shout out to I'm a Hunter with the $10 super chat. Says just another sign that we are at the end times. And I saw something else under the sun. In the place of judgment, wickedness was there. In the place of justice, wickedness was there. Ecclesiastes chapter 3, verse 16. Thank you for the $10 super chat, man. You're absolutely right, man. You're absolutely right, man. Oh my gosh. They said that this will disproportionately affect the Black, brown, and LGBTQ community. That's what these people said. These are some sick individuals, to say the least.
There is a provision of the bill that creates a new crime of loitering with the intent to purchase commercial sex. I'm concerned that the provision could unintentionally reinstate discriminatory practices that we all know that have historically and disproportionately impacted communities of color, particularly Black and brown communities, as well as members of the LGBTQI+ community.
Did y'all hear that? Let's play that one more time.
And there is a provision of the bill that creates a new crime of loitering with the intent to purchase commercial sex. I'm concerned that the provision could unintentionally reinstate discriminatory practices that we all know that have historically and disproportionately impacted communities of color, particularly Black and brown communities, as well as members of the LGBTQI+ community.
This is a daggone shame, man. These people should be ashamed of themselves, man. Seriously. Seriously. They should be ashamed of themselves. Somebody asked what the bill is, the bill, it's AB 379. Look up California AB 379. You'll see it there. These people are thick. These are some thick individuals, man. And these are people that have been elected. These are people that have been elected into positions of power. Oh my goodness, man. I want to play it one more time.
And there is a provision of the bill that creates a new crime of loitering with the intent to purchase commercial sex. I'm concerned that the provision could unintentionally reinstate discriminatory practices that we all know that have historically and disproportionately impacted communities of color, particularly Black and brown communities, as well as members of the LGBTQI+ community.
Have y'all noticed that every time they want to do something sick and demented, it's always on the backs of Black people, brown people, and the alphabet community? Have y'all noticed that? They've been using Black people as their shield to push their perverse ideology for years. For years. What's really sad is that a lot of folks don't even see it. What's really sad is a lot of people don't even see it. Every time they want to push something wicked, it's always on the back of Black people. Every time. And what's sad is that you have people, they don't even see it. That's how blind they are, man. This is outrageous. So first, we got to make sure that the bill is equitable. I'm still trying to figure out what that means. I'm still trying to figure that out. I'm still trying to figure that out, man. Their next excuse is that they're actually saying that making it a felony to buy 16 and 17-year-olds would disproportionately impact Black, brown, and LGBT communities. What exactly are they implying by saying that? What exactly are they implying by saying that? This is going to affect Black, brown, and the alphabet community? Are they saying that these are the people that we need out here making this money? Or you're saying that they need to make this money in order for them to take care of themselves? What are they saying? Are they saying that these groups are more likely to be predators buying these children? Or are they saying, I mean, like seriously, like what's going on? Are they saying that we shouldn't punish these people too harshly because these are the ones that are actually out here buying this stuff? Shout out to I'm 100 with the $10 super chat. Says, in other words, he is claiming those groups are the child diddlers. Oh, that's what it sounds like to me, though. You're right. That's what it sounds like. And I'm gonna sit here and say it right now, man. That what this dude said, and I gotta pull it back up again.
Practices that we all know that have historically and disproportionately impacted communities of color, particularly Black and brown communities, as well as members of the LGBTQI+ community.
This is offensive. It's not just offensive. It's a extremely disgusting stereotype that insults those communities while letting actual criminals off the hook. That is hands down This right here, this dude right here, this is hands down one of the most offensive statements that I've heard in quite some time. And I've been at this for a little bit now. This is hands down one of the most offensive statements that I have heard in quite some time. Now, you got people up in arms about a whole lot in this country right now. You have black people up in arms in this country about a whole lot. I want to see how many people call these Democrats out for this. Seriously. I want to see how many people call these Democrats out for this diabolical statement. And this dude is saying it with a straight face with no shame. None. The New American reported that left-wing groups like the ACLU, of California, argued that this bill could disproportionately impact marginalized communities due to systemic biases in the justice system. Are you freaking kidding me? I don't know if you guys heard me, man. The ACLU of California argued that this bill could disproportionately impact marginalized communities due to systemic biases in the justice system. Like, what the heck is going on, man? Seriously. If there's a bias, fix the system, but don't let child predators walk free. What are we doing? What are we doing? What these people are doing is, what they're doing is they're not protecting marginalized communities, but instead they're choosing to abandon kids to predators, and that is a crime. These people are ridiculous. I don't know how y'all, my folks out in California right now, man, how do y'all live in a place like this? How do you live in a state that is telling you that, hey, it's okay to traffic children? How do you live in a place like this? And what happens when it's your niece, your nephew, your daughter, your son, your grandson, your granddaughter snatched up and trafficked, and you can't do anything about it? Disgusting, man. Seriously. Disgusting. We're gonna move on, man. This has got my dad going heart rate up, man. This is golly, man. Hey, seriously, like some of this stuff, man, it's just unbelievable. Really. Some of this stuff, man, that we come across here, man, and we discuss, man, it is unbelievable. You wouldn't believe that it's happening. Oh. Let's move over to Illinois. Last story of the day. Let's move over to Illinois. Governor J.B. Pritzker is whining that the federal government froze funding for migrant services because, God forbid, Democrats don't get free giveaways for migrants. Pritzker's out here blaming Trump for the funneling freeze, acting like Illinois is entitled to endless handouts to shelter migrants, but maybe he really should focus on his own state's problems instead of crying for more federal cash. We're going to check out what Pritzker's complaining about, but Illinois, another state that's a complete mess right now. Another one.
But is now apparently caught in limbo. Governor J.B. Pritzker touting an increase in his medical debt cancellation program this morning, but blasting the Trump administration over federal funds allocated for Illinois that were temporarily halted last month, but for some reason have not been made available even after that order was rescinded.
But now when you call the federal government agencies, they either don't want to talk to you, or they are, they say, we don't know what's going to happen, whether you're going to get paid. We don't know when.
So Pritzker and the entire Democratic congressional delegation have written the director of the Office of Management and Budget, demanding an accounting of funding that's been paused or interrupted, noting in total this constitutes $1.88 billion in impacted federal funds across 14 state agencies, boards, and commissions in Illinois.
We, of course, are in every circumstance looking at what is our redress. Can we go to court? And if not, are we, is there some other way that we can get that funding source turned back?
All right, so don't think they want to talk to this guy. They don't want to talk to him. And that's a good thing. Because taxpayer dollars shouldn't go to giving free stuff to illegal immigrants while Americans are struggling to pay their daggone bills. I mean, this is a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. But what I want to talk about is something even more unhinged. Democrats are in such a panic over Trump that Pritzker actually called for violence yesterday. And it's part of a dangerous trend that we're starting to see from the left. Let's take a look at what he said.
Never before in my life have I called for mass protests, for mobilization, for disruption. But I am now. Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. They have to understand that we will fight their cruelty with every megaphone and microphone that we have. We must castigate them on the soapbox and then punish them at the ballot box.
This is where we are in 2025. Democrats have no solutions. They have no solutions. This is where we are in 2025. Now, I got to ask you guys, in the chat, is this an open incitement of chaos? Or I guess, or do you think that they'll say, well, it doesn't count when Democrats do it? What are your thoughts? Pritzker's saying that Republicans cannot know a moment of peace. So I'm asking again, does this count as inciting violence? Because it sure sounds like it to me. It sure sounds like it to me. Pritzker gave this speech recently at the McIntyre Shaheen 100 Club dinner out in Northwest New Hampshire in front of 800 Democratic activists, essentially telling them to launch mass protests, mobilization, and disruption. He even admitted he's never called for this before, but now he's ready to fight everywhere and all at once and castigate Republicans on the soapbox before pushing them out at the ballot box. Does this sound like democracy to you, or more like a thug trying to start a riot, or worse? These people are hypocrites, man. And they see that they are losing their grip on power, and that means that they are willing to do anything. Not to mention, this event is a traditional launch pad for presidential hopefuls. Last year's speaker was Tim Walz, Kamala Harris's running mate, and Pritzker's already rumored to have been on Harris's VP shortlist. But his remarks echo a pattern of left-wing incitement. Remember Maxine Waters just a few years ago telling people to harass Trump officials in public? Democrats scream about Trump being a threat to democracy, but here's Pritzker, a billionaire governor, trying to ignite a civil war just to score political points. So tell me again, who's really inciting the violence here? And let's be clear, this isn't just one reckless governor. It's a snapshot of the Democrat Party's dangerous spiral. Pritzker's words aren't just a one-off. They're a calculated move to rally the left into chaos, all while he eyes the 2028 presidential run. Democrats have been fanning these flames for years, while claiming they're just standing for values, but what values include inciting violence against half the country, or more than half the country? This is the same party that's failed on every front, whether it's wasting taxpayer dollars on illegal immigrants, abandoning vulnerable kids to predators. And now they're resorting to threats because they can't win on ideas. Pritzker's speech isn't just a disgrace. It's a warning sign of what's coming if we let the left keep pushing this country to the brink because they can't handle their Trump derangement syndrome. These people are ridiculous. I'm going to open it up today. I'd love to get some call-ins today. I'm going to open it up. I want to hear what you guys have to say about anything that we discussed today. I'd love to hear from you guys. I am going to post this in the chat this morning. It is Wednesday, last day of the month. And, I'm going to post it here and see if I can pin it. There we go. I'm going to pin the message to the top there, just so you guys can see that there. I'd love for, you guys to pull up this morning. I'd like to hear from somebody. Pull up this morning. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say, man. If you agree, disagree with anything that, has been said today, I do find it just flat out ridiculous what's going on out there in California. I cannot believe that this bill has been shot down not once, but twice. I can't, it's just unbelievable. It is unbelievable. And they're pushing their wicked agenda on the backs of Black people, on the backs of Hispanic people, and on the backs of the alphabet community. And the alphabet community is a new thing, when it comes to pushing an agenda. It's for a long time, it was just, this is going to affect, Black people in America. These people they are some sick individuals. What's going on, T.A. Caskey? How you doing, brother? Appreciate you pulling up this morning. Hope all is well at work. Yeah, California is a mess, man. California is a mess. Super expensive. Gas prices are through the roof. Home prices are through the roof. I think the average median house there. Let me see if I can look it up real quick. I mean, it's insane how expensive it is out there. It just doesn't make sense. So right now, as of April 2025, the average median price of a single family home in California has reached $904,210. We're talking almost $1 million. Hey, RJ, it might be more than 18% cheaper to live in South Carolina than California right now. You can buy a home in South Carolina in the 200s. And depending on where you are, if you're on the outskirts and not necessarily near a city, you can buy one in the 100s. The median home price there is $900,000. 904 to be exact. That is insane. I mean, and even here in Maryland, our home prices are expensive, but it ain't almost $1 million. And Timothy Rickner said, for a house in the ghetto. Exactly. That ain't even in a nice neighborhood. $904,000 don't get you something in a nice neighborhood. Now, $904,000 here in Maryland, you're living in a freaking mansion, out here in Maryland. RJ said you can buy a trailer. What do you say? Hold up. You can buy a trailer for like $200,000 if you don't mind fixing it up. RJ, I've been looking at places down there in South Carolina. You can find a place for. I've seen places in the low twos, $200,000 to $300,000, which I think is a good price in today's age for homes, for between $200,000 and $300,000, and that's for an actual single family detached, and in some cases can be some land. Yeah, Maryland's up to four. Maryland's in the fours. Yeah, Maryland's in the fours. But a $900,000 home in the state of Maryland, I mean, you're in a big boy house. You're in borderline a mansion, even here in Maryland. But our home prices, they have gone up. They've gone up tremendously. They've gone up a lot since I bought my house some years back. The property tax isn't too bad, Brett. It isn't too bad. It isn't too bad. It depends on the county that you live in. Out here in Maryland, if you live in Baltimore City, the taxes are a little higher. If you live in PG County, Montgomery County, which is around DC, the taxes are a little higher. But they're not crazy. They're not crazy. Sierra Holmes said she lives in Myrtle Beach, and you definitely can. Oh yeah, the Myrtle side of things, yeah. You can get a nice home, 240, 250, 240, 250, between 250 and 300, you get a nice home in Myrtle Beach. I've been looking out there as well. You get a nice home in the Myrtle Beach area for 250, 300. Absolutely. Rosebrant, who was that? Oh, Jim said he sold a home for in Maryland, 1,800 square feet for $385. Yeah, I can see that. I can see that. Now, Jim, are you still in Maryland or did you move out the state? Did you take your bread and get out of here? All right, I guess we're not gonna get anybody to pull up today. Yeah, I like going to Myrtle as well, man. Myrtle has so many daggone golf courses. You could go to Myrtle and not and play different golf courses every time you go there. They got so many daggone golf courses out there in that area. Let me pull up my guy Hunter here. What's going on, bro? How you doing today, man?
Doing all right. How about you?
I can't complain. Blessed and highly favored, always. What's going on? What you got for us today?
Well,
Appreciate you pulling up.
Well, I figured since nobody else is pulling up, I'd go ahead and just get in and chat a bit. But it was fascinating. I was looking while we were talking about the violence and all that stuff. I was looking at some of these old quotes, like from various philosophers, historians, and some individuals, even on the left, who would sit there and say, like, violence is not the answer. But then here we have the left now screaming violence. Like we have even Martin Luther King Jr. saying violence is not the answer. We have the Saint Martin Luther. We have Pope John Paul. We have Gandhi. All these different people saying violence is not the answer in their own way. But yet we have the left here saying they want violence. And it just sat there and says to me, nobody wants violence more than the people who scream about violence. They say that Trump is the one that's violent, but in reality, what has he done that's violent?
Yeah. Yeah, you're absolutely right. But you got to understand that these people are
the warmongers.
They're definitely warmongers, but they're also I'm at a point now where I believe that a lot of the Democrat Party is Marxist
absolutely.
or communist. That's my thoughts. That's my thoughts about them. And if you know anything about Marxism, Marxism, you gotta move away from all religion, especially Christianity. You got to move away from God. And this country was the foundation is a biblical foundation. And if you look at over the past, I don't know, maybe 60 or 70 years, we've moved and we are so far removed. And you look at our society today, no different than what we were talking about, out there in California, where you have these people now are willing, hey, it's okay to sell children. They've basically eroded the moral facts, the moral compass of our nation. That you have people that on both sides of the aisle that can't get together and say, hey, yeah, we got to protect the children. So when you look at what they've done, and they've infiltrated the school systems with this stuff. They've dumbed down the population via the school systems, public schools, that is. And then they start introducing, all these, weird and nasty books. And they start teaching kids as young as kindergarten and first grade, about this gender theory foolishness. And then on top of that, they pull the word of God out They pull patriotism out of the school. So now you have a bunch of people that they don't have any national pride. So we're in a situation to where you have a lot of people that are looking for man, and particularly, these Democrats and things of that nature, to solve their problems when they don't even know that they're the actual enemy and they are their own problem. They're creating the problems. You know what I'm saying? And it's just really, really unfortunate. And when you look at the principles, the pillars of Marxism, and then you look at what the Democrat Party has been doing, they almost align lockstep. They're almost 100% aligned with each other. It's really crazy, and what's really sad is that the average American, especially on that side of things, they have no idea what they're involved with, and they have no idea the group that they're deciding to stand alongside of. They have no idea what they're doing. Sad.
Yeah, and to touch on the issue of Marxism, and especially in the school system, I don't know if it was part of any of the classes when you were in school. I know it was for me, and I'm not sure if it still is now. But and it's like what we mentioned about yesterday with like Joy Reid and all that stuff. It's like they seem to sound like they just failed history class. These Democrats and the people on the left. It's like, you cannot sit here and say that this is okay when we have history to back up saying it was not okay, and in fact it failed. And it goes back to one of the books I had read. It was called Animal Farm. I'm not sure if anybody else is doing that in school. If so, I highly encourage schools to do it, because it basically summarizes the outcome of a socialist Marxist society where they have this farm, the animals took over, the animals promoted socialism and equality and freedom and all that stuff. What happened? The farm was basically burned to the ground, and a capitalist farm was put in its place, and the capitalist farm thrived, and all the animals were flourishing in there. And so it's like, and then when you go and ask them, like, what country right now is thriving under Marxism or socialism, they can't give you one. They can't, because none of them are. You have, I mean, you could sit there and say, well, what's a socialist country now? We could say Russia, China, North Korea. Are they thriving? Really, no. They are not.
You could in North America, you could toss Canada, in that. They're not thriving. When you have people, they had said something along the lines of, I think the number it was, and I might be misquoting it, but I'll say over 10,000 people a year die due to not being able to get proper healthcare procedures. You tear something, a ligament or something, you need an MRI, 6 months to a year. You get diagnosed with cancer, you need to get an MRI or something done, 6 months to a year, maybe 2 years. They've had over 10,000 people a year. And I think the number was like over the past decade, it was somewhere along the lines of maybe like a little over 200 something thousand people that have died. Now, Canada is supposed to have this universal health care that's not working. It is failing the people out of there. And there was a video out there on X where a lady who is Canadian, who happens to have family members that are American, so she could come here and get the treatment that she needs because she was 2 years out from being treated in Canada. This is crazy, and this is what they're advocating for us to have here in the States. It's crazy.
And PragerU, I've seen in PragerU done some advertisements on that too, where this guy, he had his wife who was pregnant. She was experiencing some abdominal pain, and they were up in Canada. They needed to get an ultrasound. They were looking at close to a year before they could get an ultrasound, and she was having really bad abdominal pain. So he had to fork over $10,000 to come down to America to get an ultrasound for her that same week. And thankfully they said it was nothing major, nothing life-threatening to the baby, thankfully. And then we can go even in state to where we had the study that was done in Vermont where they tried to introduce socialism. That went bust. We have the Native American reservations that use socialism in terms of free healthcare and all that stuff. They hate it. The VA, they hate the VA is crap to some of the military. It's just like we have all these different things, but they keep on wanting to feed the same agenda over and over again, and it's just like, do you not hear the hypocrisy in what you're saying? Do you not see the faults in what you're saying, the failures in what you're saying, and the fact that what you're saying cannot, will not, and should not even work and exist?
Yeah, you're absolutely right, man. That's why I am convinced that these are some demonic individuals willing to willing to sell out their own citizens for their gain. This Agenda 2030 thing is real. We got a chance to see them try to fast track it the previous 4 years. You see what's going on over in different countries in Europe. You see what's going on in England. They did the Green Deal. Those people they got full-fledged blackouts right now. There's no in Spain. There was Spain, and I believe it was maybe Portugal or something along those lines, if I'm not mistaken. But they've pushed this whole, Green New Deal scam over there, and they don't have power right now in a lot of the places. So, when you look at this and you look at like, hey, it's not working, and it will not work. And it's going to take people like all of us here to push back and say, nah, this doesn't work, and to also educate. The problem is that the people with the loudest voices, which are the folks that are on legacy media, are the people that are spewing all the lies. And unfortunately, we still have a demographic of people in this country that still listen to them as if they are telling them the truth. And that in itself is a problem.
And the reason why they do that is because all of the mainstream media, aside from Fox, even though I don't really watch Fox like that, you could see clips on YouTube and everything where they all spew the same talking point over and over, like a bunch of broken records. And of course, some people sit there and be like, well, if everybody's saying it, it's got to be true, when in reality that is not always the case. They could easily
I've shown that on this channel. I've shown that on this channel. There's a video. There was one I was going to do it. I was going to put it out there this week, but I decided not to. I got on some other things. But there was one that came out like, oh, here goes the new talking points. And there's like, man, it's like 16 different platforms or 16 different networks or shows on legacy media, all saying the same exact thing. So yeah, when people see it, it's like, well, I heard it here and I heard it here and I heard it there and I heard it there. It's gotta be true. Not realizing that, hey, these people get their marching orders from somebody, and then next thing you know, it's being said across all different platforms, and it leads people to believe that these people are telling the truth when they've been lying. They've been lying for a long time. There just hadn't been any other, alternative sources to point it out and say that's some bull.
And I'm all for, if we can somehow get the Democrats to do a full reform to either one, step in or be in step with the Republicans, or we even just get someone like back in the old days, like JFK or something like that, a really good Democrat, or even some of these ones that's come over here, like Robert Kennedy or even Tulsi Gabbard or something like that. If they wanted to start being the new leaders of the Democrat Party again, I'm all for that by all means. But until then, it's that's like
that's not going to happen.
I know
that is not going to happen.
Wishful thinking. I know.
Well, the thing, think about this, man. Right now, you have David Hogg wanting to primary his own people that are not with the far left agenda. So the problem with the Democrats is that the far left, the super progressives out there, the people that believe that, there's no definition for a woman or a man, the people that believe that, men can get pregnant, the people that believe that children as young as a year old should be able to go through, quote unquote, gender affirming care. You have to get on board with all of that in order to be a Democrat in 2025. And if you're not, there's no way you're going to get elected, because that faction of their party is extremely loud, and they've shown themselves to be extremely reckless as well. You see them out there blowing up things and, and stuff like that. They're really, really reckless. So I think you have a lot of people, the more moderates, I've been talking about this and you've been watching me for a little bit. I've been talking about this for a while, that we're probably due for a third party between the Democrats, the Republicans, and the MAGA movement. I think the MAGA movement is different, because you have people that are liberal moderates, meaning they're more towards the middle, and they're more in line with the MAGA movement than the far left, extremely crazy progressives of their party. No different than a lot of us on this side of things that aren't lockstep with the super far right, super far right of things, or not necessarily a super far right, but maybe the rhinos, you know what I'm saying? That's just, establishment Republicans. We're probably not in lockstep with them 100%. You know what I'm saying? So I think the MAGA movement is something different, because when you look at that NAFTA agreement, that was a bipartisan agreement between Republicans and Democrats that sold Americans out. You know what I'm saying? So when you look at that, I think we're probably due for a larger third party. I know we have I think we got the libertarians and those types of people, but I'm saying like the Green Party, but a full-fledged larger party that's in line, that encompasses the MAGA movement. I think we're past due for something along those lines.
I wouldn't be opposed to that. However, the only thing right now is, until that gets done, we need to make sure we keep at least someone in power, and that someone has to be the Republicans, because we've seen what the Democrats have done. And the Democrats now, if we get any of these Democrats in power now for the next 4, 5, or 4, 8, 12 years or so, I very much believe that they can turn our first world country into a second or third world country in that short span of time.
Oh, well, they were working towards it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at what's going on in England right now, if you are a Christian in England, you cannot pray outside silently to yourself. That will get you arrested. If your home is in a quote unquote safe zone, that will get you arrested if you are, sharing the gospel, reading the word, things of that nature. People are not even talking about this, man. The amount of Christians that are being persecuted right now all across the world. And here in our country, if you are a follower of Christ, you do have the ability to worship. But even then, there's still certain places, because they don't want you doing it at schools. They don't want the coaches, praying and things of that nature. There have been lawsuits. They fired coaches behind it. You know what I'm saying? So when you have an attack like that, and then you look at what's going on in England, where, they're attacking free speech on social media, you can go to jail for a tweet. You know what I'm saying? Like, these things are happening. And you look at England, and they've brought in, a ton of, ton of Muslims and things of that nature. So much so that majority of your major cities in the country of England right now are, the mayors, the people in charge, are Muslims from London down. And you look at that, and you look at the amount of censorship that they have going on over there. You have people, like, the lack of patriotism over there. You can't even wave an English flag over there right now without people calling you a bigot, which is very similar to what Democrats are doing here. Anybody that has, it's on this side, Old Glory hanging outside their house, they would be upset with you and call you a bigot, or like, patriotism and loving your nation is a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? Like, these people are, they're ridiculous, but they would like to implement the same things that are happening in some of these European nations. They would like to implement those same things right here. The problem is, we have this thing called the Constitution, and it's blocking them. If it wasn't for that, we'd be in trouble in this country right now. We're the only country in the world that has a constitution like ours, and those rights, which are inalienable rights given to us by God, when you really think about it. Mm-hmm. But it's those rights that are protecting us. Because if it wasn't for that, we would be like Europe. They were already trying to do it. You see what they were doing? Suppressing people on Twitter, suppressing people on YouTube, suppressing, silencing different news outlets out there that was trying to put information out there about the Hunter Biden laptop, so forth and so on. You've got a chance to see that they are willing to do it. They're willing to do it, and they've tried to do it. And in some cases, they were somewhat successful. And then Trump gets in there and has to basically, smack all of that down and call them out for who they are. But that is ultimately, they would like us to be more like Europe, ultimately. And that's why you hear Democrats say, all the Constitution's outdated. We need to tear it up and restart and start over. You know what I'm saying? You don't hear people on our side of things talking like that because we understand how important that document is. But you will hear a lot of people on that side saying we got to get rid of the Constitution.
Heck, I'd say these Democrats want us to be more like China.
Yeah, you get no argument from me on that either. Yeah, they want that type of power. They want that type of control.
Mm-hmm.
You know, social credit scores and things of that nature. You know what I'm saying? It's crazy. It is crazy, man. But I appreciate you pulling up, Hunter, man. Thank you very much, man. We're not going to get anybody else. I guess we're not going to get anybody else that want to pull up today. But I do appreciate you pulling up this morning, man. Thank you very much, man.
No problem. Thank you.
All right, Hunter. Take care, bro. All right, man. I guess we're gonna go ahead and shut the show down. We're gonna get up out of here. But I appreciate you guys pulling up and rocking with me. I don't know what our likes look like today. Let me go over here and see if I can check it out for myself and see. Yeah, so we did pretty good. 265 likes today. If you haven't hit that like button, hit that like button on the way out the building. I appreciate you guys. Great call, Hunter, man. Appreciate you pulling up, bro. Thank you very much. And thank you very much for supporting the channel as well. I appreciate you guys, man. Shout out to the Blues, Zephyr K9, Coaster, Brett Montgomery, B. Who else pulled up? T.A. Caskey. Shout out to the ARP family. Shout out to you guys, man. Definitely appreciate you all as well. We'll be back at this thing tomorrow, 9:30 a.m., Lord willing. Again, I always say this, man. If you want to support the channel, support me, support what we're doing over here, join the ARP family, or you could buy your man a coffee. That link is in the description box below. Keep God first. Stay prayed up. We'll catch up with you all next time. Peace.
Vibes so